Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Nord and Block podcast. It is Friday, December 29th, 2023, the time recording of this video. This will release on January 1st, 2024, however, but anyways, just so you know. I am your host here, or one of your hosts, Nordic97, joined with my new co-host, LeBlock James. How we doing?
We're doing good.
Good to
Happy
hear.
New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. It's a new year, new us. Let's see how this podcast goes. So, a few weeks ago, or actually no, it was actually a while ago, a few months ago, me and LeBlock, we've always been talking about it because we are really good friends outside of social media, and that we were always talking about running our own podcast. Now, I run my own podcast. It's the Nordcast, for those who do not know. LeBlock ran his own podcast as well. But LeBlock's podcast kind of has ended, I guess, right?
We've had guys. People just got way too busy with life, and we needed more flexibility in our podcast, and we just didn't get those with those guys. Great guys, love Luke and Zach, but we just not get the flexibility that we were desiring on that pod.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, I already had a pretty stable podcast with Nordcast, and me and LeBlock, we always had really good hockey conversations together, whether it was on PS4 or over Discord or even on like just social media through text or anything like that. So we decided that why not make a podcast out of it? Because we figured that we have some pretty cool opinions, and even though like we do agree with each other, there are some stuff that we do discuss a lot together. And we figured that we'd share that with the world. So regardless, even though we just introduced how the podcast came to be, we're going to do introductions of ourselves now. So I'm going to turn it over to LeBlock, and LeBlock's going to go first. He's going to go over like a social media, a little bit about him, all that stuff. So LeBlock, take over.
All right. My name is LeBlock James. I'm 25 years old, and I love long walks on the beach. My Instagram handles are LeBlock_James. That's my TikTok handle as well. And you know, I've grown up in Ottawa, so I grew up a Sens fan, and I just love watching and talking about hockey. It's been my entire life since I was a little kid, so that's just been my whole thing. I have a passion for this, so I love. If you come to me, I'll talk to you about hockey for the next 8 hours if I had the time, but I do not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, my turn. So I am Nordic97 or Evan Dickinson. I am 16 years old. I am from Pennsylvania in the United States. I don't know if LeBlock mentioned he's from Canada, in Ontario, in Ottawa, as you can guess by the hat.
Yeah.
For the video listeners, I have been a hockey fan since I was about 10 years old, 2017, I'd say. I started getting into it with the Flyers and all that, and I played hockey for long before that, but I never really got into the sport until then. It wasn't until about 4 years ago. Next Tuesday will be the 4-year anniversary of me starting to make content. I've had a YouTube channel for about 4 years now, a TikTok account for about 3.5 years, and I started a podcast, as I mentioned, about 2 years ago almost. And, you know, I'm a very big hockey fan. I could talk about it for hours. I will watch any hockey game. Like right now next to me, I have the Rangers playing the Panthers right now. Two teams that me in 2017 would have hated. But now, like, since I've gotten into making content, I will just watch literally as much hockey as I can so that I have an opinion on all these 32 teams and for everything. So, yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about me. My handles are Nordic97. Pretty much all of them are. Instagram is Nordic97_IG. My other podcast is called the Nordcast, for those who are curious. So, yeah, that's pretty much all there is about me. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it here. We're going to discuss the topic that is currently the biggest thing right now, I'd say, in the hockey world. It's the World Juniors. As many Canadians will argue, it is the greatest time of the year for hockey. This tournament basically is for the prospects in the NHL, the under 20 World Junior guys, to play against each other, represent their countries, and win gold or bronze or silver or nothing, depending on what the team is. So, LeBlock, do you have any thoughts on the World Juniors and like its overall impact in Canada? Because it's not that big here in the States. sure in Canada it is.
So in Canada, World Juniors is like a religion. Basically, everywhere you go, you'll have the games on. Usually when it's in North America, it's a lot. You'll have games at night. But since you're in Sweden this year, the games are really early. So even in early places, you'll have games on. You'll have people talking about World Juniors everywhere. It's just a tradition where we all get up early to watch the game. It's a fun time to see all the prospects from not just the Canadian teams, but from just in general around the NHL competing in these tournaments. See, oh, wow, that guy's doing really good. Oh, wow, that guy's struggling a little bit. It's also good to see the competition. Like you see countries like Germany and Slovakia they've matured in their hockey journey to become competitive with teams like Sweden, Finland, the United States, and us. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially over the last couple of years, it's become way more popular. I used to not give a crap about the World Juniors. I'm going to say that openly. I didn't start following it until the summer of 2022 when the World Juniors that was canceled from December 2021 took place in summer 2022. Basically, it was during the summer. There's no hockey going on. The Avalanche won the Cup a few months before. And those games were on. And I watched pretty much all of them. And not only did I develop a love for the World Juniors, I also developed a love for Latvia, unfortunately. Now they're not as good as they used to be back when I fell in love with them. But still, I like the World Juniors a lot more than I did previously. And even last year, too, in 2023 was really enjoyable as well. So, yeah. The current standings, we're going to get into standings now. So Group A standings currently go as follows. And when you guys see this podcast, when this podcast uploads, things will probably change because there's obviously a few teams still need to play games. There's games up until the 31st. So these standings will change. But currently, as of right now, these are the standings in Group A. Sweden is first place with a 3-0 record for 9 points. Canada, just behind them with a 2-1-0 record for 6 points. Germany is 1-1 for 3 points. Finland, 1-2 for 3 points. And then Latvia, my team, is 0-3 for 0 points. So, LeBlanc, what are your thoughts on this overall Group A division, and who is going to win this division in the end?
I'm not surprised by the standings because Sweden, I always say Sweden, Hugo Havlicek, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's been unstoppable in net. He's been outstanding. Sweden always does so well in group play. I think they had a record where they went 16 years or 16 or 14 years without a group stage loss. I know it got broken last year, but it was still it's a big streak. And Sweden always does well in group play. They're the home team this year as well, so I don't expect anything different. Canada being 2, that's fine with me. And then we had who's 3? Finland or Germany? Sorry.
Germany. Germany pulled off a big upset earlier in the week against Finland. The first time
that was one of the best. Yeah, that was one of the first time ever for their country's history, which is big for them. And that was a really good game. I watched that whole game. I was on a bus to Montreal when I was watching that game, so that was a really good way to pass the time. They look surprising. Finland's been underwhelming. It's really sad to see because Finland used to be on par with Sweden and Canada, and now you see they're a weaker team this year, but maybe they could make a comeback. I don't know. And then you have Latvia, who unfortunately is the group's kind of it's their donkey punch, if you want to say it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this about Finland. I believe they still qualify, right? Because I think it's the top 4 that
top 4 qualify. Yeah. Top 4
so
qualify.
Regardless of whether or not they lose tomorrow, unless Latvia wins against Germany, I believe Finland is going to make it. However, Finland is playing Sweden, and Sweden has not let in a goal yet, as you mentioned. So I'm expecting for them to lose that one as well. I'm not going to lie to you. But Germany still has 2.
And for Latvia to get above Finland, Sweden would have to really beat Finland by a lot because the second factor is goals against or goals for.
Yeah.
And I think Latvia has how many goals do they have in the tournament now? 2? 1?
They have 0. They haven't scored at all.
Yeah, they have 0. And so they would have to beat Germany by a lot, and Finland would have to lose to Sweden by so much.
Yeah, let me pull up the stats here. So Latvia would need to. Well, first off, Sweden would need to shut out Finland. That would be what needs to happen. Best case scenario.
Mhm.
Latvia would need to score 9 goals against Germany to qualify.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say that no, they're not going to qualify, and they're probably going to play in the relegation. For those who do not know, the relegation goes as follows. I think it's like a 3-game series between the bottom team in Group A and the bottom team in Group B. I think it's 3 games. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, it's best 2 out of 3, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then that team gets relegated to Division 1A. And then I believe next year Kazakhstan's coming up. So whatever team gets
Yes.
relegated this year, Kazakhstan's going to come up and replace them. So that's obviously
Mhm.
interesting there. I got a few more things. With Canada, are you surprised by the loss to Sweden? Do you feel that this Canada team is as good as other teams previously? Like even last year, because I've seen a lot of talks that this is an underwhelming Canada roster this year.
So I'd say Canada has a weaker team this year. Definitely, I'll agree with you on that. I'm not surprised that us losing to Sweden. If you watch the game, Sweden severely outplayed Canada all the way
Yeah,
through
they
that
did.
game. Canada usually has one game where they look really, really bad, and then the following, and like it's like you need like that one loss to humble you, and then you can go on a run.
Yeah,
You don't want to go
I
through the group stage undefeated, then you have all this pressure on you. But um, like Canada needs to work on some things. Their power play looks bad.
yeah, it
Dumais and
does.
Midden and Fraser Midden on that power play together. I think they need to switch those guys off. Um, penalty kill looks solid to me. They just need to their defense needs to work on the rebound control because I think both those goals against Sweden were both off rebounds.
Yeah, I agree. The power play was not great at all. That was pretty horrendous to watch, if I'm being honest with you. I believe that's everything. I do have one more question for you. Do you think that I believe Germany plays Canada tomorrow, and then I think they play Latvia tomorrow, then they play Canada. So, do you
Yeah,
think Germany is going to be able to compete with Canada and Sweden? Do you think that I felt like they played okay against Sweden until like the final period where they let in a lot of goals. Do you
I
think
feel
that
it.
Germany's able to compete?
Yes, I do. I really do like this German roster. I think they can definitely contend if they could. They'll make it interesting. Either they'll make it interesting in the first knockout stage, or they'll make it get an upset, go to the semifinal, and compete for that bronze medal.
Yeah, I mean, I would take bronze as a pretty solid accomplishment there
Mm.
because I believe it's been like this ever since I started watching the World Juniors, but Germany has not really made it that far in competition. They've stayed in the top division. Like they aren't as bad as like Latvia or Switzerland or any of the other
Hmm.
like teams in this stage. But, they just don't have the skill level to compete with Canada and Sweden and at one point Finland. So do you have any other thoughts on Group A that you want to talk about? We'll get into Group B now.
Group A is it's a lot of it's very competitive. I feel like it's more competitive than the other group.
Yeah, I
Where
agree, especially when you look at the stacks.
like you saw Germany upset Finland and first time ever. I think those four countries are like the standard other than Latvia. Sorry, Nordic, but other than Latvia, like those four, you could have put them, you could have mixed them up anywhere. Like you could have had Canada third in this division. That's how tough it is.
Yeah, you really could
And
have.
Canada third, that's like a major disappointment. That's like,
Oh yeah, that's a whole like even if they finish, some may even say finishing second's a disappointment just for
mhm.
the overall team. Moving on to Group
Yeah.
B now. Group B's got some notable teams. Slovakia actually leads Group B right now with a 3-0 record for 9 points. The USA right behind them with a 3-0 record for 8 points. If you're wondering why the USA has the same record as Slovakia, but Slovakia has more points, the US do have a shootout win in there, which is only qualifies as 2 points, according to
Mhm.
the IIHF rankings. Czechia 1-1-1. They are third. Switzerland is 0-2, and Norway is 0-3. So I do agree with you. I think that Group A is way more competitive because Switzerland and Norway's the new team this year. They just don't seem all too great, in my opinion. But yeah, Slovakia. Slovakia has been really kind of surprising this year. I think a lot of teams have been surprised by the way Slovakia has been playing. Do you think that Slovakia is the best team in this group, or is it still the USA or Czechia?
I do believe it is still the United States. I would love to say Slovakia because I've watched all their games and they look fantastic. Like
Yeah,
as a country, like I think a few years ago they were on the brink of relegation. I think 4 or 5 years ago, and now
yeah,
they're leading Group B, which is fantastic. And they're growing as a hockey country. They have had notable talents come from Slovakia in the NHL, notably Chara, Gaborik, Slavkovsky, Nemec. But yeah, you look at the United States roster. You look at Trey Augustine and net. You look at their forward core is disgusting. Their defense is really solid. I still think the United States is the team to beat in this group.
yeah. I agree. I think Czechia came really close in the shootout, which, by the way, was probably the worst shootout I ever watched in my life.
That,
That
that was
was
bad.
was awful. I think there was like not even on the Czechia side, the American side. I think they missed the net like 3 of the 5 times they shot. It was horrendous to watch. But
Very
yeah, I think
dust.
yeah, I think the U.S. is still the team to beat. Slovakia looks good though, and I'm really interested to
Mm-hmm.
see could they compete with the U.S. because that's the next team they play. Those are the
Yeah, I believe
next
they
two
play
teams
tomorrow.
they
Yeah,
face off. Is it tomorrow?
yeah.
I think it might be tomorrow.
I think
So it's gonna be
it's tomorrow. Yeah.
very interesting to see
Mm-hmm.
how that game's going to play out because that could determine or that will determine who wins this group
Mm-hmm.
unless if it goes to a shootout. The USA needs to win in regulation or else Slovakia wins Group B. So yeah, it should be a very interesting game. Czechia, they're not as good as they were last year in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They're still solid, but they're not great either. They lost to Slovakia. They beat, I believe, Norway. I think was who they
Yeah.
beat. And then they lost in the shootout to the U.S. So they're still in it. They're gonna qualify, but they're still not a. They're not. I don't think as big as Slovakia and the U.S. Switzerland. I think honestly, I believe they actually were. No, it was What was the team that got relegated last year? Do you remember? What was the country?
Austria. Austria.
Yeah, Austria. You're right. So I
Yeah.
think that yeah, Switzerland made it qualified last year, but they weren't all too great last year either. We'll see how they play against Norway though. Norway's the new team this year, and they're 0-3. But I felt like in
Mm-hmm.
the games that they played, they weren't terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they played okay against the U.S. I thought they played okay against Czechia. Obviously, there's things you can work on, but they didn't look horrible from my perspective. But that's just me. So yeah,
Yeah, they didn't look terrible. They didn't look bad. They need to get something going. There's you watch the games and like they don't look bad, but there's like it feels like there's no like pressure on Switzerland. And to
yeah,
be
I
fair, there
agree.
probably isn't.
Yeah, true. And I mean, I'm gonna say this too, because like they're the new team this year. Like, I mean, they're coming into like some really big powerhouses in that group. So I'm not blaming them
Hmm.
for going 0-3, but I do think that eventually when they do get adjusted, they need to get together. But I mean, this is kind of how it works. Some people may not like what I'm about to say, but really, it's the same pretty much 2 or 3 teams that get relegated every couple of years, and then they come back up after dominating Division 1A. It's just how it is. It's just how it goes. And Kazakhstan's going to be back next year, and whether it's either Norway or Latvia, they're going to be gone next year. So we'll
Hmm.
find out what comes of that. But that's just how it works. Any more thoughts on Group B until I get into the scores and goalies?
Group B is Group B. That's about it. Like,
Yeah, I would say it's less competitive than Group A
Mhm.
though for sure. Moving on into the top 5 scorers by points, we'll go through this really quickly. Slovakia's Servak Petrovsky is leading the way. St. Louis Blues prospect here, doing some really good work with Slovakia. 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points. Has been very noticeable and very entertaining out there on the ice. One of
Mhm.
my favorites to see out there. Canada's Macklin Celebrini second. He's the NHL's top #1 prospect for this year's draft. 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. Again, he's no Connor Bedard because I think Bedard at this point had like 10 points by now. But obviously, Celebrini's still a really solid player. Slovakia's Maxim Sturbach, which I believe is a Blues prospect as well. Actually, 1 goal, five
Mhm.
assists, 6 points. Philip Meeser, a Canadians prospect, has 6 assists, and then Chicago's Frank Nazar has 6 assists as well to round out the top five in scoring. Goaltenders, obviously, as I mentioned, Hugo Havelid, I believe a Sharks prospect, if I'm correct. He's 2-0, has let in no goals, so he's done himself.
He's actually unsigned.
Is he really? Oh, is he unsigned?
I thought he was. I
thought he was a Sharks prospect. I think. Oh my God! Wait, I remember talking about him. I think in a YouTube video. He's really smaller than average for some goaltenders. That might have been.
That's why he's probably overlooked at the draft.
Yeah, but we'll see. But we'll see. Maybe if he keeps playing the way he is in the World Juniors, maybe he's going to get some consideration. I mean, he just shut out probably one of the best offensive teams in Canada. So I think that deserves at least some recognition.
That's the best offensive team in that group, and he shut the door on them. So I give him the credit he deserves.
I think the Ottawa Senators are calling. Canada's Mathieu Rousseau. I think I said that right. Do you know how to say that name?
Matisse Rousseau.
Rousseau. Okay. He's 2-1-0, 1.33 goals against average. Even though Canada lost today, he's been superb. I believe he was the MVP for them. He's only let in 2 goals.
He looked fine today, so I'm not too worried about him.
And then Slovakia's Adam Gajon. I don't believe he's signed by anyone. I don't think Russo's signed by anyone either. He's 3-0 and 2 goals against average. So, yeah. Through those guys, who do you think is going to be the MVP at the end of this tournament? Obviously, it's who wins gold, but who, as a player, will be the MVP of this tournament? Do you think?
From Group A or from Group B, or just in general?
You can pick one from each group. Why not?
Group B, Trey Augustine.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think he's going to be shut down come the qualifiers. I'm going to go with Petrovsky. I think he's done really good.
Yeah, that's good.
I think they'll go far.
Yeah. And then for Group A, it's either going to be Havlik or it's going to be Macklin celebrating.
Yeah, I think those are the only two that are realistically competing for it in that division right now, for sure. So, overall, who's winning gold, do you think, right now?
I'll say this, I said this at the beginning of the tournament, and I'll say it to my guns. I think the United States are going to take home gold this year.
I had the U.S. winning gold too, but I don't know. I think that any of Sweden, USA, Slovakia, or Canada can win it. I think all three.
I think those four will be the semifinals.
Yeah,
and then we'll see because they're all great. Like Sweden, USA, Canada, Slovakia. They have good rosters. So
yeah. So
depends who's gonna be their shining World Juniors moment. Who's gonna get that, and can you conquer it or can you let it slip away?
Sounds like an Eminem lyric. But
it does.
Yeah, it probably is. Any other thoughts on the World Juniors before we finally move on from that?
Let's try repeat. Let's go. Come on, let's go Canada. Let's go.
Canada. Go US. We haven't won since 2020. It's been quite a while, so I would love to get one here. Anyways, now moving on to the news around the National Hockey League. What do you got? Do you have any news? I didn't write anything down, but I'm looking at Puck Report right now.
Werenski's out for another. He had a bad injury the other night. He's probably going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. He's week to week, but the way it looked, I could say 4 to 6 weeks, and that's a damper on my fantasy team.
Yeah, that's a rough move for Columbus. Even though they're already at the bottom of the standings, it's rough to see that now they've lost their best defenseman. And Werenski's been through so much the past couple of years. I honestly feel so bad for him. One of the more underrated guys, but just can't stay healthy, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. It sucks because when he is healthy, he's arguably a top 10 defenseman when he's healthy.
Yeah, I think he's really underrated for Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't get enough recognition. In the Liga League, the Finnish Liga League, Nick Ritchie today was suspended 8 games for just punching an opponent while he's down. You got to see the clip. I can't really explain it, but basically, they're battling for the puck in the corner, and then Lucic, I guess, just didn't feel happy and pushes his head to the ground and then starts punching him over and over again and until the refs comes in and breaks it up. It was
And the
actually
ref came in super late, like super late.
yeah,
He's like, "All right, we'll watch this happen for a little bit." Like, "Oh
yeah,
shit!" And then he gets up. And he gets.
yeah. I don't know if I've seen something like that before. I know probably you have because you've been watching hockey longer, but like I haven't seen anything like that in a very long time.
I haven't seen anything like that since I was maybe like in grade school because that was before the NHL started cracking down on like like you can't really punch a guy in the head after the play. You can't really hit a guy in the head anymore. They really started cracking down on that stuff. I haven't seen that since I was like maybe like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah, so it's definitely something interesting there. Do you have anything? Do you have news now?
Reported by the Spitting Chicklets podcast,
Oh
there
yes, we
was
do.
a there was a report saying that Elias Pettersson may try and get his way to Chicago to play for the Blackhawks.
And you want to know why he wants to do that? I think there's one reason. There's one reason. Do you know that reason?
Maybe, would just say it.
Connor Bedard, of course.
Connor Bedard.
That's got
But
it. That's
the
gotta
thing
be
about
it.
the thing about this though is that Pedersen made it clear to the Canucks that he wanted to see how this year panned out for them because he wants to win. If you're going to Chicago to play with Bedard, you clearly want to play with Bedard, or you want to be in a bigger market getting a bigger paycheck.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go get somewhere to make money, then you go to Chicago. Chicago definitely has the cap space, and they're definitely the market to give you what you want, pretty much. I do think though it's all going to rely on the playoffs. Um, we're going to see whether or not Vancouver they're having a great regular season right now. There's no question about that. But what happens come playoffs and they lose in the first round after this really great year? Does Pedersen maybe consider that, well, this isn't a place where I think I'm going to win, and then he decides to go maybe to Chicago or maybe somewhere else even? Because that plays a factor with me. I think, yeah, they're having a really great regular season, but I think it's all going to determine to the playoffs of whether or not this guy stays.
Because I feel if Vancouver goes on a run, I don't see him not coming back.
Yeah, I'd be
Like,
shocked.
if they
if
get
they-
to if they get to
yeah,
like a second round, even a third round, I don't see him not coming back.
yeah, I would be shocked. If he decided to leave after they made it past after they made it past at least the first round, because I think that team maybe can win. I think they have a lot of good attributes to them. I think a few more tweaks, and I think maybe they'll be ready to go. But there's obviously things you can work on. But if they make it to the second round, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't stay. But obviously, I've been wrong before. We'll see. And I mean, hey, Chicago is really going in the right direction. I bet that following this season, there are going to be players who see what Bedard is doing. Not even like looking at the money in Chicago. They see what Connor Bedard is doing, and they're going to think to themselves, "I want to go play with this guy." They're building something there in Chicago right now because not only is Bedard there, Korchinski's there too. Frank Nazar's doing a great job in the World Juniors right now. I look at that and I say, why not? Let's go
I
there.
want to be a
Let's
part of
get
that.
together.
Yeah, I want to be a part of that. That's what they say. You look at Edmonton. McDavid got you people. Reason Edmonton can get people to come to Edmonton. It's McDavid. Look at Lucic. He signed that mega deal, and he said at that press conference when he signed the deal, "I wanted to play with McDavid. That's why I signed here."
Yeah.
And you can see the same for
obviously-
Bedard, but Bedard's in a bigger market, so it's probably easier to attract guys.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see. This offseason could be a pretty big one for the Blackhawks. I'm sure there's going to be people who want to go and play with Bedard for sure. Hell, I would want to go play with Bedard. I wouldn't mind going playing with Bedard if I'm an NHLer. I wouldn't mind it whatsoever. I'm sure you would be the same way. Like,
Yeah, I would.
Generational.
You want to
player.
surround yourself with good players.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else?
I don't believe I have anything else right now.
The rest has been a whole lot going on. There's not like
The rest
a lot
of
of things to talk about.
There's been a lull really in news, but
Yeah, because it's the Christmas
yeah,
break.
that's about it for news around the league.
Yeah. I'm sure, though, I will say this. In the second half, by next week, we may have some more stuff regarding like rumors and trades and that. Because I think after like the rosters unfreeze. I don't think they've unfreezed yet. I think there
They
is going
don't
to be a lot of
unfreeze.
discussion.
They'll unfreeze after the second.
Yeah, so
They
there's going
unfreeze
to
after New Year's. Yeah.
yeah, so after that, there's going to be a lot of talks in
Mm-hmm.
regards to trade and that, and we will get into all of that eventually. Moving on then
Yes.
from news around the NHL, we figured that'd be a fun thing to do since we're halfway through the season and hey, we're starting the podcast. We'd look at teams that, in our opinion, either exceeded or failed expectations. So I don't know how many LeBlanc has here. I have 4 for each column. I'm not sure how many LeBlanc has. I won't go in depth with all of them unless if LeBlanc
I'll
has
be
more.
honest. I didn't write these down. I was going off on by my head. So just go off.
Okay then. Well, do you
Um,
want to start with exceeded or failed?
we'll start with the positives. We'll start with. I'm gonna start with the obvious one. I'm gonna start with the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody had them first in the NHL at
No.
this point in the season. And I remember in the offseason, we were talking, and I said, oh, Vancouver could be a wild card team. And then they just shattered my expectation. And they go
Yeah.
on this, and it's their best start in franchise history. The Demko's found his form. The defense is playing a lot better. And the forward core's been outstanding. There's not much complaints about Vancouver, other than maybe they could get guys to stay healthy. That's really about it.
I agree. I didn't see Vancouver being the way they are at this point in the season. I thought at best they'd be a wild card team just because like every year they start off so horrible at the start of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and it just to me like I thought that was going to happen again. I thought that it was possible. Like I think I said in my preview for the season, I said that if they start off well, I think they will be a team that does really well. But I didn't think this well. So they've really exceeded expectations. There's a lot of guys who are having career seasons right now. Elias Pettersson playing really well. Brock Besser, we haven't seen play this well
Yeah.
in years. Like this has been a
Yeah.
really good redemption year for Brock Besser. And as well as that, too, Quinn Hughes. You could argue Quinn Hughes right now is the leading candidate for the Norris Trophy right now. Ahead of
Mm-hmm. And
guys
he's
like
been
Makar
just
and Gibson.
absolutely, yeah, he's been absolutely outstanding. He's had MVP heart type talk as well. He's been in that conversation too. And to granted, he's been really good. He's been outstanding.
Yeah, he has. And I think also, too, being named captain, I feel like the team's playing better under him overall and with Rick Tocchet as well. I feel like, too, like, I've been reading a few articles about Vancouver recently because I was making a video on them. It looked like with under Bruce Boudreau, as much as we love Bruce, there was kind of a country club mentality, if you know what that means. That pretty much means like,
Yes.
oh, you go into work, you clock in, you just do what you have to do, and then you clock out. There's no accountability being held. There's no,
Mm-hmm.
trying to fix things. It's just kind of you just go in, you play, and
It's kind of just a job. Yeah, like
yeah,
it's
there's no repercussions for losing.
Mhm.
And I
Exactly.
feel like Takich changed that mentality, which is great, by the way. Because if he didn't and things stayed the way they would be, I think Pettersson would be leaving. I think a lot of guys wouldn't want to stay in that city. And yeah. And as well as that, too, like Pettersson and Hronek each collectively expire. Hronek's been great, too, by the way. Hronek's really helped out that blue line.
Mm-hmm.
Was a great acquisition. Even though at the time we thought it made 0 sense, it
At
actually
the
turned out
time,
pretty well for them.
we were criticizing it so much because it's like you gave up like one less pick than Ottawa got for Chikrin. Like,
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of
and
sense.
and then when he got healthy this year, it worked. So credit to Vancouver for getting that done.
Yeah, I'll give big credit where it's due for him. He's done a really good job. I think collectively though, Pettersson and Hronek could cost the team like $10 million, like $15 million, $20 million.
Yeah,
Pettersson's going to want a
Hronek's
lot.
up after this
Hronek's gonna
year.
get a lot. Yeah, so it's
Hronek's gonna want around 8, 9. That's where the D market is now, and he's having a career year. So I can see that happening.
yeah for sure. So we'll obviously find out there, but yeah, Vancouver, one of the teams that has for sure exceeded expectations for me. And finally,
Right.
last but not least, Thatcher Demko also too has had a really good redemption
Mm-hmm.
season. I think that last year wasn't a great year for him at all. Dealt with a lot of issues with injuries and just didn't really play well. But this year's been a really
Yeah.
good redemption year for him for sure. Anything else on Vancouver?
Not really. I think we covered all the bases there, so we just move on
Okay.
from now.
All right, we'll talk about them soon. Next up, then, I have to say the obvious: the Philadelphia Flyers as well. The Flyers have
Mm-hmm.
been what I would argue the most surprising team. I think Vancouver, yeah, they're surprising, but a lot of people expect it every year. Nobody expected the Flyers to go from projected eighth overall in the Metro to battling for second, to battling for first.
Yeah.
Honestly, like nobody expected it, and I honestly think that even though Rick Tockett's having himself a really good year in Vancouver, I think John Tortorella deserves the Jack Adams. You can call that biased all you want, but I think it should be Tortorella's trophy this year. The way he has turned this team around has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So
Yeah, Philly's taking knee because Philly started out they're like, oh, they started out okay, it was like a 500 record, oh
well, they
well,
always
Philly
do.
will eventually fall. Yeah, Philly will eventually fall off, and then they went on a little bit of the heat, like, oh, maybe we should take Philadelphia more seriously. Now they're second, and I think they're still second in the Metro right now.
They're
And
battling.
and after Christmas, I didn't expect this at all. I don't think anybody in hockey expected this at all. And you're getting good play from guys who you really thought, they're okay. Like Samuel Irison, much of you and me
Yeah,
have talked about him. He's been on kind of a heater lately, with Hart being out. You look at guys like Sean Couturier coming back to form. He's been outstanding for the Flyers as well.
100%.
And
Yeah,
the defense is actually, it's not bad, but it's not outstanding, but it's decent. It's good. Like, it's actually performing well.
yeah. I'm shocked. Ristolainen is actually playing solid this season, which is
Yeah.
something I never thought I'd say. He was out for the majority of the first half of the season, pretty much, and I was when I saw he was coming back, I'm like, oh, it's over. We're here we go. We're gonna lose like 8 straight now. But no, we kept winning, and I think in December there's still time left, but I think we've only lost once in regulation in December. The rest have been
Yeah.
overtime games. I think we have 2 more games in December. They're against Seattle and Calgary. Those teams, no disrespect to them, they shouldn't be too hard for us either.
Yeah.
So I'm as a Flyers fan, I'm super stoked to see this, and I hope it keeps going. And I know some people have said that, oh, it affects the long term. They're not going to get a high draft pick now. I don't think that matters. I think we already have a pretty solid enough prospect pool, a good young enough team. I think a few
Yeah.
more tweaks and we could be a decent contender. I mean, we got Cutter Gauthier still. We got Mitchkov a few years away. We also have other guys too who people easily forget about. We got Massimo Rizzo, who's playing unreal in college right now.
Yeah.
We got Oliver Bonk, who's going to be a really solid top 4 guy, in my opinion.
Love
Yeah, I love Bonk too. We got Denver Barkley as well. We have other guys down below in the AHL system. We got Urson, who's a rookie goalie who's playing really well for us. So there's a lot to look forward to right now if you're a Flyers fan.
Mm-hmm. You also have another goalie I think it's in Russia. You have one of the top goalie prospects. I have no idea what his name is.
Fedotov. Oh wait, you're right. Oh,
Yeah.
Kosalov.
Kosovo, yeah.
So we're pretty good at drafting goalies all of a sudden. So I think that could be used to our advantage. And there's a lot of teams too that need goalies. So maybe
You
we
can
could
never
start.
have enough goalies.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
I do want to say this too. Even though they are playing great, do not buy. Do not go in and buy at the trade deadline. Please. I swear on my life.
Mm-hmm.
If Danny Briere goes out, sees, I can't think of anyone that's like big name on the market right now, sees like a big name forward out there and is like, oh, let's go get him. And then he trades like our first round pick for this year and some prospect who's really solid and goes out and I would lose my mind. No.
I'm gonna say this though. You guys do have 2 firsts this year. You have Florida's first this year. So if it makes sense for the team, and let's say if it's a guy who we can probably just extend that guy and then we'll bring him in. Then you could maybe argue that, but if the Flyers are going in, they're like, oh, we're gonna just buy everything and not just risk pure rentals. No, cut it out. No,
because
because the Flyers this could I don't want to say it could be a fluke and it could be a playoff year and then they'll go back to being not that great next year, but you want to see how it plays out. You don't want to
Yeah.
rush into it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
So the Flyers, like, I think the Flyers need to just like stay the course, listen to Torts, and just like keep pushing forward. Because if Philadelphia makes the playoffs, they'll be the New Jersey of last year, where they surprised everybody and made playoffs.
Yeah, but here's the thing with me. With me, I 100% agree with you. This could be a fluke. This could absolutely be a fluke. That is honestly like that has been in the back of my mind this entire month. Even though we've been like 12, 1-2 in this month or something like that. We've had a really good record. In the back of my head, I'm like, this could be a fluke. This could be a fluke. We could fall off. And we could very well still fall off. Come the trade deadline, and with how competitive the Eastern Conference is too, if we go on like, let's say, a 4-game losing streak, and the Islanders and the Hurricanes and the Lightning and the Capitals start winning more, we could find ourselves outside of a playoff spot again. So I'm going to say this. Anything can happen in the second half of the year, but you shouldn't buy at all. You should stay very conservative. If it makes sense, absolutely buy. But even, too, if you get the right offer, you should sell. If we get the right offer for Sean Walker, who's made a huge difference for us this year and can make a big difference for another team, yeah, give him up. If we get like a first-round pick, a really solid prospect, I think, yeah, we should. Because, yeah, even though we probably aren't really supposed to be where we are right now, I do think that like we shouldn't buy in. We shouldn't go in and trade for like Timo Meier. Like that should not happen. Like how the Devils did. And the Devils were a different scenario. They were like some expected them to be good. Nobody expected Philadelphia to be good. We thought this was going to be the first year of finally seeing some improvement, but not this much improvement. So that's obviously plays a factor of me. Anyways, enough about Philadelphia. Do you have another team that has exceeded expectations?
I do. We're going to go to the Western Conference, actually. I'm going to say the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes, the Jets. I agree.
Because the Jets, like, when you saw them trade Dubois, I guess it's time to rebuild. And then this summer there was the Hellebuck rumors. It was Hellebuck and who else was in that rumor?
Hellebuck, Scheifele.
Hellebuck and Scheifele. And then they both signed 8x8s.
They signed the same contract, I think. It was like 8x8, 8.85, something like
8
that.
8x7.5, something like that. So, like, I guess they just want to be in mid. They want to be mid forever. And then they go out like, oh my, this team can play. Hellebuck's returned to form. Scheifele's actually playing good. Like, better than I'm used to seeing him play. And they've been on a tear. They are tied. They're currently 1 point behind Colorado for the top spot in the Central.
Yeah. They
coming into the year, well. Coming into the year, I'm like, they're going to be like, maybe like below wild card team. But no, I think the Jets are for real. I really do. I think the Jets can go on a run.
I agree. I think with the guys they acquired from the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation, I think that Velarde's played well, even though he's been hurt. Iafalo's played solid too. And I think overall the teams just clicked this season. I think that, again, we really underestimated them. And I think that, hey, this could really just, like, turn around for the worse. They really could fall off and not miss the playoffs, but maybe go in a wild card like they did last year. That could happen, but I don't think so. I think the team's playing really good right now. And I think that overall they have a lot of momentum going. A lot of it's Connor Hellebuck. The defense is playing well. The offense is playing great. Every aspect is playing really solid right now. And they're kind of a team, too, that we expected to be kind of like Philadelphia, not like last in that division, but kind of be towards the bottom more, because we didn't we just thought that they were heading towards a rebuild. But no, they keep Hellebuck and Scheifele, and I think it's the smart decision at this point now.
Yeah, like looking like they could have if they didn't get the haul they wanted for Hellebuck, might as well re-sign him.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what they did. And I feel like Winnipeg last year, they were like at first in the Central at one point. Then they won like 8 games the rest of the year.
8 games the rest of the year.
It fell to a wild card. But this year feels different.
It does.
Like they're actually playing. Yeah, they're playing well. Kyle Connors looked great. All the guys from the Dubois trade have been looking great. Like you said, Velarde's been injured. Kupari's been decent as well for them when he does get a chance in the lineup. But yeah, the Jets look good. The Jets look real good, and I'm gonna be interesting to see what they do at the deadline. That's what I'm interested to see, because Winnipeg. I'm pretty sure Winnipeg does have some space in their cap for some
I
guys, but
believe
we'll
so.
cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, so we'll see. Next up, then I have the Nashville Predators. I think the Predators have really exceeded expectations. I thought myself the Predators were going to be seventh in that division. I looked at their roster; it's not too enticing. It's not like bad by any means, but I thought that there was a lot of younger players and a lot of players they
Mm-hmm.
acquired at the deadline at the deadline in the offseason that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like they traded away Johansson and then signed O'Reilly to the same contract, pretty much. It
Mm-hmm.
felt a little bit weird, or they bought it was Duchesne. It was Duchesne. Um,
Yeah, they bought out Duchesne. They traded Johansson.
yeah, so it felt weird how they made those moves. Then they went out and got probably worser versions of those players. Not any flack on
Yeah,
O'Reilly or what's the other guy, Nyquist.
Nyquist.
No flack on those guys at all. But it just felt weird to me. But I think overall the teams played well. I think being the underdog has really helped them out too. The momentum. They're winning a lot of
Mm-hmm.
games. Now the wild card race is close because Nashville started losing a little bit, and I think that they can very well still miss the playoffs. Saros' numbers have not been usual as they usually are, but they aren't bad. They're playing. They're solid. I think Luke Schen's played well on the blue line too for them. One of the better defensive defenders in the league. I think Nashville's really exceeded expectations, and I think that they don't get a lot of recognition for what good they're doing right now.
Yeah, the and speaking of the Western wildcard race, it's really heating up. With you have even like you got like Arizona and Nashville holding those spots right now. Then you got St. Louis a point behind, Minnesota 2 points behind, Seattle 3 points behind. Then you have Edmonton who has like 6 games in hand on 4 games in hand on Nashville. So it's really coming together, the West playoff race. But yeah, when you look at Nashville's roster though, like their forward core might be one of the weakest forward cores in the entire league.
I agree.
When you're looking at it, defensively they brought in Luke Shen. They brought in somebody else who I'm totally getting their name right now.
Oh, what's his name?
And but then they got UC Soros, who he's UC Soros. He makes big saves. No goals.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Going back to the wild card race, it feels like this year is so much more competitive than previous years.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that every team up until probably like 26th
Anaheim.
Anaheim up to Anaheim. No,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We're just talking about the West.
I'm saying as abroad with the East and the West.
Oh, it's a bra. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I would say every team up until 26th or 27th in the NHL has a realistic chance at a playoff spot right now. It's insane how tight it is. Like you look, we'll go to the West first, and then we'll go to the East. The Western Conference,
Okay.
Arizona 38 points. The top three teams in each division have really separated themselves from the wild card teams.
Yeah.
So it's really separated, but the wild cards are really close. Arizona and Nashville 38 points. St. Louis 1 point behind. Minnesota 2 points behind. Seattle 3 points. The Oilers are 5. The Flames are 5. And there's so many other teams that are in just that race right now overall for a wild card spot. The East as well is really competitive, all the way down to I'd say Buffalo is still in it right now. Ottawa and Columbus aren't in it, but it's just so competitive this year. It feels like for the league. So
Yeah, it is competitive. I'll always use the excuse. Ottawa has like tons of games in hand. We're fine. Realistically though, yeah, like we're not in it. But even Montreal's got a shot. Detroit's got a shot. Like Edmonton and Calgary have shots too. Like it's gonna be a tight. Like you said, like the top three seeds in each division have kind of separated themselves from the pack, and the wild card is just gonna be like maybe one of the most fun wild card races we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like it's way more fun this season. That is all I got. Do you have any more exceeding teams? We can move on to failed teams.
I wanna give a I just not like a no, I wanna like shout out. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Rangers because I think the Rangers they're exceeding expectations because no one. I expect them to be a playoff team, but not first in the Metro by any stretch of the imagination. I want to give a shout out to them.
Agree. Yeah, they've done well.
And Laviolette's been great for them. And then I want to give a shout out to Arizona as well because they've been exceeding expectations as well.
Yeah, Arizona's a good one too. Arizona's my other favorite team. They are a wagon. I'm gonna say that they're for sure a
Mhm.
wagon. But I mean, hey, I think that they need to find They need to find some consistency. They win a lot of games and they lose a lot of games. They win a game, they lose a game.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've seen with Arizona. But I think, hey, I think the division's competitive enough right now where if we go on like a 5-game winning streak or a 6-game or a 7-game winning streak, we could put ourselves in a really good spot in the playoffs. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think we definitely could be a playoff team. So I'd say we are. Moving on then to teams that have failed expectations. I'll let LeBlanc go first. He might want to bring up a special team of his.
The Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, yeah. That was
The
number
Ottawa
one on my
Senators.
list.
Yeah, like they've completely failed expectations. The expectation this year was wild card or at least close to a wild card. They are last in the Eastern Conference. That is a definition of a failure.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's been a mix. It's been an ugly year for Ottawa on the ice and off the ice. You look at the Shane Turner situation, him being out of the lineup, that's really costed Ottawa. Keeping DJ Smith for too long, and I want to say this right out. I love DJ Smith as a person. I met the guy. He's a super nice dude, but like he was not good at his job. I want to put it out there. Pierre Dorian fumbling the bag. Pierre Dorian doing Pierre Dorian things. I like the new coaching staff they brought in, Jacques Martin and Dane Albertson. I think they've done a decent job at trying to right the ship. They're currently right now losing 4-1 to New Jersey. So
Oh, that's fun.
yeah,
That's great to
so
hear.
it's been an awful year for Ottawa, and we're looking at another year where it's time to sell at the deadline. And
Yeah, I'm not gonna just keep on punching them while they're down. I will say this though, me and LeBlanc, they're probably the most talked about team that we talk about outside of this podcast. We talk about them a lot, along with Detroit. Shout out to Trevor.
yeah,
We definitely talk about Detroit a lot because Trevor likes to be a cocky Detroit fan. You'll meet him in a few episodes. But
yeah,
anyways, yeah, Ottawa. I'm not going to say anything negative. I think now that DJ Smith is fired and now that Dorian's fired, it's kind of a whole new regime right
yeah,
now.
and that's what
I think that now you want to look at just the overall team. You want to look at this year's deadline. You see Tarasenko, Kubalik on the market too. Sell those
yeah.
two guys off. Sell other guys that are expiring off and maybe don't want to stay. Get some assets, get some draft picks, and maybe try and build up the prospect pool again. I mean, you got a
Yeah,
pretty. I feel like they have a decent roster here. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't think the roster's bad. I
the
think
roster's not like you said. It was coaching. Like I think the roster, like on paper, the roster is not that bad.
yeah, it's not as
It's
bad as the
just,
other teams.
but going back to Ottawa, like drafting, like Ottawa's prospect pool is empty. All the guys. I think our top prospect right now is probably Tyler Clevin, who's in the AHL right now. And
Yeah,
when you think of top prospect around the league, Tyler Clevin doesn't really strike me as a top prospect.
he's probably a
They need to
B, maybe
yeah.
C level guy.
B like a low B. They need to restart the cupboard, swallow their pride, draft.
Macklin Celebrini.
Trade, please, I'll do it. I really want this is a shout out to Tim in our group chat, Artem Lishevanov
Yeah,
on defense.
Leshevanov I like as well.
Yeah,
Or how about Sam Dickinson? He needs some blue
and
liners.
Dickinson's good for the Knights. Yeah, he's been solid too. I really do like his game, but Ottawa's going to be in the thick of the draft season. I've kind of accepted that as a Sens fan, where let's go to Tankathon every night we lose and see where we see.
Yep.
Stim the lottery. We won. Won't have it in real life, but we'll just do it now. So
Yeah, I'm gonna say this too. I believe they have scratched Smith's system altogether as well. So his system's basically gone. I think it's gonna take a lot of time to adjust to a new system.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's a good thing because I think DJ's system wasn't all too great. I thought that, and I honestly like whether or not like you look at the longest tenured coaches. How was Smith fifth? Like how? Like the guys who were hired before him were pretty much all Stanley Cup champions. Smith was on a rebuilding team and they just wouldn't fire him. But it's good that the old regime's gone. They're going to adjust to the system now with Martin. It might take a while, but the hope is they will. And maybe they'll try and find a new coach. I don't think Steve Stamkos either is going to be the permanent GM. I think they're going to be interim. Oh, it's 6-1 now already.
It's 5-1. No, it's 5-1.
I can't read. My bad. But yeah, one last question for you here, LeBlanc, in regards to the Senators. Are you going to the draft in Vegas to go see them draft Celebrini?
I wish I could get tickets because it's expensive to fly down to Vegas.
Who
But
wouldn't
if I
mind
get
going to
tickets,
Vegas for a
for
week?
sure. If they win the draft lottery, I'm definitely going.
We'll find out. Find out. As long as it's not Chicago, that's all I'm going to say. Um,
Yeah.
Another disappointing team, in my opinion, is the Buffalo Sabres. There's actually like a few teams in that Atlantic that you could argue are disappointing. Buffalo, they have pretty much the same roster, besides maybe a few tweaks on the defense and a goaltending change.
Clifton and Eric Johnson's gonna fix everything. Yay!
Yeah. Basically, it was those guys and Devin Levi in net. And I get the hype around Levi, but it's 7 games. It was 7 games that he played last year. It's just a small sample size. You can't put so much pressure on a goalie because of that. And as a result, I think they've crumbled. I don't think the offense is as great as it has been in previous years. And now they find themselves far out of a playoff spot again. And if they keep struggling the way they are, it's going to be hard for the Sabres to not fire Granada.
Surprised
So,
he's still there. Like I'm really
yeah.
surprised he's still there. Because I feel
Yeah.
the Sabres feel like he was the glue. Like the system last year worked, and he was like the glue to that team. But now that they're we saw people saying Buffalo's gonna surprise and gonna be like a top 3 team in the Atlantic. That was the consensus of the media coming into the year, and Buffalo just crumbled.
Yeah. It's just gonna be like what 12 straight years of missing playoffs. It's
13.
13. Yeah, it's been rough. So, I mean, there's really not much to say. Just we'll see what comes next year. Hopefully next year's the year. That's what they've been hoping for about 13 years now. But
Yeah, Buffalo needs to let guys develop. They're trying to rush guys up, and I feel like they just need to relax.
yeah, I agree. Do you have another disappointing team?
Edmonton?
I think, yeah, for sure. But I think Edmonton's coming back.
They are. And
I truly believe they will be a playoff team. I think they will make the playoffs.
I think they can. I think they can. I need to see they went on a heater. But Edmonton, like to start the year, they were just absolutely brutal. Like they lost to the Sharks, and the Sharks didn't. What?
I don't even know what it was that caused them to. It was the goaltending was part of it.
It was the goaltending for sure, but
it was the same 2 guys. It just felt really weird. It just felt like such an off year, or an off point. So I don't know. I feel like they are coming back. They're still in the race for sure. They're only 5 points out with a few games in hand, so definitely they can. But obviously, we'll find out there. I believe they do have one of the easiest schedules in the NHL, though. So
they do, and I feel like Edmonton can definitely. It's McDavid. I'm not going to doubt McDavid. So
yeah, no, it's in your best interest to not doubt McDavid. So yeah, for sure.
And then another, if you want to go for your team, I have another team I would like to mention later, but
I was gonna say the Red Wings too a little bit. They're still in the race. I think they're still solid, but they're kind of on the line for me. This December has been really bad though, and it's been historically bad December.
Since Patrick Kane got there, and it's not on Patrick Kane because Patrick Kane's looked great as a Red Wing, but since they've acquired Patrick Kane, I think they're like 2-8 or 2-9, 2-9-1 or something like that. They got Patrick Kane.
They're playing tonight, I believe, against the Predators. I'm not sure. My girlfriend just texted me that Brink got into a fight.
It's 3-2 Preds right now in the third period.
Yeah, my girlfriend texted me that the Brink got into a fight. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, he does that once a year. Once a year.
So it's that rare occasion of him getting into a fight.
Yeah, DeBrincat got into a fight last year of Ottawa, and it was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, like Detroit, they're still in it for sure. But I thought they were on the line as a disappointing team. That is all I got though. LeBlanc, what is your other
I feel
guy?
like they're where I thought they would be. I want to mention New Jersey. I feel like New Jersey's not meeting expectations at all. Even though they're winning right now, but like in the standing wise, I didn't expect them below the playoff line.
That sounds like some salt. Because they're beating your team.
You could also say Seattle. I don't think Seattle was expected to be where they are. Same with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think I will say this though too. That division's so competitive that
It
like
is.
Pittsburgh could win like 3 games and they'd be like four, they'd be like third. Like that's how
Mm-hmm.
close it is. So I'm not. I didn't want to go on the Metro teams that hard because it's still really close. Like you win
Yeah, the
one
East.
game, and you could be fifth. You could win. You could lose one game and go from third to seventh. Like it's that
Yeah,
close.
like the Metro, and the East in general is like a bloodbath.
Yeah. So that's just how it is right now. That is
Yeah.
all I got though for disappointing teams and exceeding teams. If you have anyone else.
No, I don't got anything else. We should move on.
All right, well, let's get into our award picks now. Is that what you want to do next, or is it? Do you want to
Yes.
do? Yeah, we'll do award picks. So we thought that since it's the halfway mark of the season, we would do some award picks for this second half of the season in the first episode of the podcast. We'll come back, listen to this at the end of the season, and see if we were right. First off, the Hart Trophy goes to the most valuable player, LeBlanc. Who do you have winning the Hart?
Nate Dogg, Nathan McKinnon.
Nathan McKinnon, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
I have Nikita Kucherov, and it all depends on if the Lightning make the playoffs, because Kucherov's been carrying them.
And like I wanted to say Kucherov, but I feel like if Lightning miss playoffs, and I think like Nathan McKinnon's gonna run away with it. He's had an absolutely torrid season. He's been going on a tear, and
Yeah, it's been very good.
you know I've always liked McKinnon, so I feel like we'll just pick him.
McKinnon's a very likable player. Next up, then, the Vezina Trophy, awarded to the best goalie in that season. LeBlanc, who do you have?
I'll have you go first. I'll have you
I
go
have
first in
Thatcher
this one,
Demko.
actually.
I have Thatcher
I
Demko.
I have two. I have Jeremy Swayman or Aiden Hill.
Aiden
Yeah.
Hill's a good one.
So
too.
I'm gonna stick with
Hill.
Swayman though. Yeah, I'll stick with Swayman.
Yeah, not bad picks. I would be shocked if Hill wins it. Hill hasn't played a lot though. Hill hasn't played a lot compared to the other defensemen.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to, like I had Hill. I'm like, oh, he hasn't played that much. We'll go Swayman.
Yeah, Swayman's a good pick there though too. Calder Trophy awarded to the best rookie. I think we'll have the same one. Connor Bedard.
Here we go, Betsy.
Yeah, like there's no one else that's close right now. This kid seems to just impress every night, and I think honestly, if he was even if he was not as good as he is right now, I think he'd still win it just because of the media hype around him is insane. Norris Trophy goes to the best defenseman. I have Quinn Hughes. Who do you have?
I also have Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, there's no other pick right now that I say, yeah, maybe like a guy like Noah Dobson could be a finalist. And
Noah Dobson's been really good, but
I think it's Quinn Hughes right now, and it's not close. The Selke Trophy. I really didn't know what to go off with this. I didn't know what to base it off of. I just put Mitch Marner because I think Marner has done very solid defensively the past couple of years and offensively too. I really didn't know who to put. You could put Elias Lindholm as well.
I put Elias Lindholm because like I was like I'm like who is good at defense? I said like there's Barkov there. I could consider Marner. I'm like let's go Elias Lindholm because he's been in the discussion for like I think 3 years now as being one of the best defensive forwards.
Yeah, he has been. So. And then finally, I believe you have the Jack Adams Trophy awarded to the best coach. I think it's pretty obvious who I have, but I'll let LeBlanc go first.
I went way off the board for this one because there's so many coaches I could give this to. I actually picked Spencer Carberry of the Washington Capitals.
We'll see. If they make playoffs, then yeah.
If they make playoffs. It's content on them making playoffs, though.
Yeah. I have John Tortorella. You could call it bias, but that's just what I think right now. I think with the way he's turned this Flyers team around. He's a pretty smart pick for it. Next up, then. Oh, what? What are you saying?
Oh, we'll do our Eastern Conference and Western Conference matchups, like for our finals.
Yeah. So, for my Western Conference side, I have the Dallas Stars and the LA Kings making the conference finals. On the Eastern side, I have the New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins making it to the conference finals.
My Western Conference Finals, I have the Colorado Avalanche versus the LA Kings. And on the East, I have the Boston Bruins against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Ooh, that's pretty deep. That's a solid pick there. I have the Stars winning against the Kings, and the Rangers winning against the Bruins. And I have a Dallas versus Rangers Cup final and I have the Dallas Stars winning it in 7 games.
I have Boston over Carolina, and the Avs over the Kings. So I have a Boston-Colorado final, and I have Boston winning in 7 games.
All right, so you heard it right here. I have the Dallas Stars winning the Cup in 2024, and LeBlanc has the Bruins winning it in 2024. So that's all I'll leave it. Thank you all for watching. I'm kidding. We still got stuff we got to do. But yeah, those are our award picks. Those are our Stanley Cup picks. LeBlanc, I believe we have our next column here. What is it?
We have Trevor's Trivia, or Trevor's Hot Takes.
Give a little introduction to Trevor real quick here.
Trevor's a cocky Wings fan. Trevor's a cocky Wings fan, and he wants to have a hot take. So every week we'll have him having a hot take, and we're going to react to it. I have not told Evan what his hot take is this week, because I wanted it to be shock value for the first episode. So, Trevor's hot take number 1. Germany will finish 4th at the World Juniors.
What the hell, bro? What? I mean, we said that they could compete, and I think 4th is realistically where they would out of the teams in that in the tournament. But yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question, but it definitely is a stretch.
Yeah. But yeah, I think honestly it's gonna be a no for me. I feel like they'll be like a 5th. They'll be out in the first knockout stage.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Yeah, and then to end it off, I think we're gonna do some blind rankings, and then I think we're done.
Yeah. So we're gonna do 3 of them just for fun, or maybe 2. We haven't decided yet. Just for fun, we're going to do some blind rankings. We'll probably do a game at the end of every episode just, for fun, and we'll post it on the TikTok and the YouTube and all that. So we're going to do blind rankings. For those who don't know what blind rankings is, I'm going to give LeBlanc James 5 things from a certain column. They could be hockey-related, not hockey-related, or anything else of that matter, and he has to rank them without knowing what the next one is. So the first one is going to be NHL captains. Are you ready, Mr. LeBlanc James?
I am so ready.
All right. So your first. I'm going to pull up a random team spinner. Hopefully, I get a team that has a captain. So, and I might pick some former captains too. Your first captain is Joe Pavelski.
Ooh, former captain Joe Pavelski
of the San Jose Sharks.
I'll put him at 3 to start off.
So that's a solid start because you don't know what's coming next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Devils, Nico Hischier.
4.
4 solid. All right, number 3 is Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins.
1.
One's a solid option. So you got 4 and 5, or 2 and 5.
2 and 5, yeah.
Number 2, or the next one is Kyle Okposo of the Buffalo Sabres. An obvious pick there.
5. 5.
And your number 2 coach goes to Steven Stamkos. That's a
2.
pretty good list.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
Bergeron 1, Stamkos 2, Pavelski 3, Hischier 4, Okposo 5. I'd say that's a W list.
Yep.
All right, this next one, I'm going to give you food. I'm going to give you a food.
Food? No, I do like me some food, so I am hungry.
All right, so let me pull up some food here real quick. All right. So, your first food is a hamburger.
Honestly, hamburger, like no cheese, 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
Your next food is chili peppers.
3. I actually really do like spice.
You like spice over ham? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I do. I love spice.
Next up, then you have mayonnaise.
Oh yeah, I like mayo's good on a sandwich by itself. Give it a 5. Get it a 5. Get it down there.
You're not gonna like this one. Your next food is sauerkraut.
I actually do like sauerkraut too.
What? Are you serious?
I'm serious. I do like sauerkraut.
Oh my god! And next, and your final one, which is going to be number one, is kidney beans. Kidney beans.
Oh fuck that! Like, what are those?
That's a rough ranking. Number 5, you got mayonnaise. Number 4, a hamburger. Number 3, I don't even remember what number 3 was.
3, we had chili peppers.
Chili peppers. Number 2 was sauerkraut. And number 1 was kidney beans. That's tough.
That's tough. That's a tough list.
That's rough. It's pretty rough. And then finally, for our final blind ranking before we end off this podcast, we'll compare some defensive cores. You want to do that?
Okay.
Your NHL team.
Yep, we'll do that.
Let's do it. All right, so your first defensive core is the Tampa Bay Lightning's defense. Hedman, Sergachev. 3?
Yeah, we'll go 3, yeah.
Your second defensive core is going to go to the Dallas Stars defense.
Do you got them that on hand, what they have? They have Miro, Lindell, Suter.
Miro,
Lindell, Suter. Hakanpää,
Lindquist.
That's it, yeah. 2.
Well, your third one is the San Jose Sharks core. I think that's pretty
5.
obvious. 5, yes. You got what? 4 and 1?
4 and 1.
Your next one's the Arizona Coyotes defense.
4.
You got handed a rough one at 1. It's the Chicago Blackhawks defense at 1.
Oh, fuck off!
Sorry, it's the spinner. It's the spinner. I spun it and it got
The
Chicago.
spinner hates me. The spinner hates me, I swear.
The spinner really does hate you. That's a rough. It's a rough ending.
Rough.
But yeah, that is our blind rankings game. Next time, I think will be a cool thing. I haven't told LeBlanc this yet, but I think it'll be a cool thing is I have LeBlanc play the game this episode. LeBlanc will have me play a game next episode. We'll do that. We'll kind of swap every episode. I thought that'd be pretty fun. But yeah, that concludes the first episode of the Nord and Block podcast. Any final things here? I'm very excited for where this is going to go. The first episode of the first episode of 2024. Yeah. I am super stoked to see where this is going to go from here.
Yeah, new era, new pods. Same LeBlanc James. Same wooden ass chair. Same wooden chair from 1974. Just chilling there. So yeah, it's gonna be.
He's a rocking chair.
It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to start this journey with you, buddy, and see where it goes.
Let's see where it goes. All right, our next episode will hopefully be on Sunday, January 7th is when we hope to post the next one. At time recording this video. So yeah, anyways, thank you all very much for watching or listening. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Hit the subscribe button down below if you are new to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the audio end of things, give us a good review. Tell us to your friends, and try and grow this podcast for us some more. We really appreciate it. But anyways, thank you all for watching or listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Adios.
Peace.